This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I'm Shekhar Gupta and my guest this week, a legend of our times, Mark Tully. Sir Mark Tully. Welcome to Walk the Talk.
I don't like to think of myself as a legend. Legend is such a road
I could have called you the Knight of Nizamuddin East.
Well, I've been very lucky in my life, Shekhar, I put most of it down to luck, actually.
Well, I mean, luck, good timing. What's a journalist without good timing?
Yeah, timing as well, a bit of timing as well, definitely, yeah.
Timing,
yes.
Instinct, all those things matter.
Yeah, they do matter, but luck also matters a lot,
Yes, and intellect helps.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't think journalists are great intellects, do you?
Well, I mean, they are not reputed to. I don't know, it's, as they say, one of their KRAs. But look at the book you produced now. That is an intellectual / spiritual / political exercise, India's unending journey.
Well, it's an exercise I was very nervous about, Shekhar, because it's far more personal than any book I've ever written before. And I honestly didn't know what the reaction to it would be. I thought some people might say Mark Tully's gone balmy. I thought Mark Tully's become a religious maniac.
Well, I've heard people say Mark Tully has finally shown his Hindu side. Some people have said Mark Tully has finally given evidence in writing that he's an unreconstructed socialist. Which one do you buy?
Well, this is the interesting thing about it, that there's a quote in the book from Dr. Manmohan Singh, where he says, if you advocate the middle road, and the whole book is about advocating the middle road. It's about not being Hindutva, but equally not being so secularist that you despise religion. And what Manmohan Singh said is that if you pursue the middle road, you're bound to get hit from the left and from the right. And actually, funny enough, I haven't been hit from the left.
But usually that's how you drive on an Indian road.
Yeah, but I hope not to get hit when I drive on
I remember, Mark, from our reporting years, I went to Dara Adam Khel.
Yes.
Remember the village where they sell arms?
Yes.
In Pakistan's frontier?
Yeah, yeah.
And, after I had examined all the machine guns and stuff, they said, but we can also get you 80-62 tanks. We've just got one from the Mujahideen. And I said, what will I do with it? And how will I take it to India? They said, we'll deliver it to you across the border, then it's yours. And I thought for a moment, it might be useful in Delhi. You can drive in the middle of the road. Nobody cuts in front of you.
Well, certainly, I mean, it would be very useful as well, because the number of times that people seem to bang into my car, and I have to go to the denter to get it put right.
So, Mark, back to the book. Is this the spiritual side to you? We all know you started out being educated to be a theologian.
Yes, I did. I started out to be a priest in the Church of England, and I've lived like you a pretty rough life as a journalist. It's rough and tough life.
Many times together.
Many times together, indeed. And you probably didn't see any spiritual side in me when I was drinking. We were having a drink together in the bar.
In our reporting years, spiritual side was something else, in the evening, after 7:30.
But I never quite lost this side, and they always say that the older you get, the more interested you get in these things. And I do believe that in India as well, it's a very special, very important side, because after all, the vast majority of Indians are actually religious, and therefore getting the spiritual side properly in balance in a country like this is hugely important, I feel myself,
Spirituality and hacks don't always go together. It always reminds me of Wellington's line on his army, where he said, I think gin is the spirit of their patriotism.
Well, I can assure you that I've done my bit at bars and things like that, as you know, and I'm the last thing I believe in is that spirituality should be any form of killjoy or anything like that. And I dislike excessive Puritanism, especially the sort of Puritanism you sometimes see in this country, like what's happened to Hussein, for instance. That sort of thing I think is deplorable. And I think it's deplorable, in part because it actually denigrates religion. It makes people think religion is stupid.
Absolutely. And your teachers figured you out early on.
Yes.
That you weren't the right candidate for this.
Absolutely.
That's what happened. I think you're going to the pub too often.
The Bishop of Lincoln said, in a church, people preach from the pulpit. So the Bishop of Lincoln said to me, I think, Mark, your place is more in the public house than in the pulpit.
But is this nostalgia for your early years, or is it is it a distillation of your years in India?
No, it's not really nostalgia. There is an element of nostalgia in it. I mean, there's huge nostalgia in the fact that, as I say in the book, I have a deep love of the liturgy of the Anglican Church, just as you might have a deep love of the worship in the Golden Temple, which you attended when you were young, or anything like that. So in that sense, it's nostalgic, but in another way, it's very much not, because the whole change which has come about with me in India, and one reason I wrote this book, is that when I was young, we were taught that really Christianity was the only way to God. But living in India has taught me, yes, it is one way to God, but there are lots of other ways to God as well. So it's changed very radically in that way.
But you know, Mark, in your reporting years, you've seen the same gods turn against people of India, turn against some people of India, turn against government of India. You've seen a lot of problem in the name of religion.
Yes, I have.
We were together in the Golden Temple.
Yeah.
You saw Babri Masjid, you know.
Yeah, but you see, I would say two things there, Shekhar. First of all, I'd say that whenever we saw the trouble,
And now we see this whole Bangalore business.
yes, but you know, whenever we saw the trouble, firstly, there was almost always politics behind it.
Right.
It was politicians who were stirring it up. We know about the history of the Bindranwale movement and who actually really stirred the whole thing up. Secondly, these issues are never entirely religious. They get clothed in religious clothes, but there's usually economics behind it, quite often language behind it, quite often ethnicity behind it as well. So so it's not just religion doing these things. And you know, finally, I would say even on Islam, well, I don't mean even on Islam, because I have a great respect for Islam, but we do need to think what it is which persuades these people to do these dreadful things. They are dreadful, and I'm not saying we should condone them or condone the people, but we cannot simply say...
Because Britain has a serious problem now. It seems
Yes.
to be the epicenter of this.
Yeah. Well, you see, I mean,
Tension.
Britain has a serious problem. One of the reasons it has a serious problem is, of course, the Iraq War. But another reason is because there are Muslims who genuinely feel that there is an attempt, basically, for the Western culture and civilization to dominate the world, and they feel that this culture and civilization has no respect for God, and they will often tell you, as they must have told you, they've often told me, they see it as obscene because of the way women are portrayed and treated.
It's very interesting, given the fact that America now is more religious than it was maybe 2 decades back. There are more people going to church than before.
Yes, you see, but I think the thing about America which is interesting is that a lot of the religion is a fundamentalist type of Christianity. And my view is, and the view of a lot of people in my book, I quote a great writer on religion, Karen Armstrong, who says there is a symbiotic relationship between religious fundamentalism and what you might call excessive materialism. When a society becomes excessively materialist, then religious people, as another quote in my book, they run back to nanny. They go to someone who says, you're secure behind here, you don't need to think about these things, you don't need to worry.
How do you explain what's happening in Pakistan now? This whole Lal Masjid business, fight Musharraf's having with fundamentalists, the very people that the Pakistani army and ISI created, very much like Bhindranwale and government of and the state in India.
Well, there are many similarities. You know, one of the great similarities, of course, is why did he not take action against them before they made such a fortress out of the place and everything?
Right.
In exactly the same way as why did Indira Gandhi not take action against Bhindranwale before he fortified the Golden Temple? And also, of course, there is Musharraf's fear of reaction amongst the supporters of these people outside the Lal Masjid, and there was Indira Gandhi's fear of the Sikhs' reaction in the countryside in Punjab.
But there are also incredible similarities between the way the two operations went. You know, 2 days ahead, they blast a wall, an officer dies, and then more people go in, then the siege becomes thicker. You saw many of those.
Well, you see, yes, I think so. I think that also, I mean, I don't know enough about the Lal Masjid, but I think also, you see, what happened with the Golden Temple, and you were actually there, was that the army thought that getting inside there and getting Bhindranwale would be much easier than it
Right.
was. And I would imagine the Pakistan army thought the same thing. And in the end, of course, the Pakistan army dragged the thing out much longer, but basically they had to go in and do a lot of damage and kill a lot of people. In the same way, the Indian army underestimated the resistance of Bhindranwale, thought he would just surrender, and in the end they had to go in and do a lot of damage and kill a lot of people.
Mark, go back to your reporting years.
Yes.
Tell us some of the most interesting moments, some of the most difficult moments.
Well, you know,
India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, wherever.
There's one of the most difficult moments I had was a strange personal experience. You know, we all used to have to go dress up as Mujahideen and go in with the Mujahideen into Afghanistan. Well, once when I did this, the first thing we had to do was climb a very steep mountain. I got about 3/4 of the way up this mountain and started to feel very, very sick and giddy. And I suddenly realized that I was
Not a Mujahideen.
and getting altitude sickness. So, and I looked down, and there below were the plains of Pakistan. And I thought to myself, God, I'm going to be an absolute idiot if I go back and say I couldn't even get over the first mountain. And I heard a train of mules coming up, the bells ringing. Unfortunately, my Urdu was recognizable by Pashto speakers. So I said to these people, put me on one of your mules, for heaven's sake. And sure enough, they did. So I rode in triumph into Afghanistan on the back of a mule. You know?
So Mark on a mule.
But you remember another chap, I remember another guy, the last time almost I saw Bindranwale, there was an American correspondent, can't remember who he was, who said to Bindranwale, why should I grow a beard? Bindranwale said, because you're a man and God gave you hair on your face, so you should grow a beard. And this guy said to Bindranwale, but some people would say the way you're dressed, you look like a woman. And I thought, my God, what on earth's going to happen now? And he was literally pushed out by Bindranwale's supporters, you know.
But I think they were hairy moments.
Yes, they were.
But you were banned from India.
Yes, during the emergency.
During the emergency.
I was given 24 hours to leave because we wouldn't sign the censorship.
Right.
And when the emergency first started, there's a story I tell in my book, which is confirmed by Inder Gujral, that Muhammad Yunus ordered me to be arrested and have my pants taken down and given a good smacking because they said I'd said that Jagjeevan Ram had resigned from the government. And Gujral, bless his heart, he went and he found out that this was not true. I hadn't said this, and somehow or other the whole thing disappeared before I got a
Did you
few
meet Mr.
stripes on my
Shukla?
nose. Oh yeah, yes, Shukla and I had many conversations. I remember one with Shukla, when Shukla said to me, Shukla used to get a lot of rubbish information about what the BBC said. And once he said to me, how did you know that a bomb had exploded in the courtyard of an All India radio station? And I said, I didn't, Mr. Shukla, but now you've told me, thank you very much, I'll go and broadcast it.
I'm sure it wasn't a sudden decision to stay back in India. A little bit about how India grew on you.
Yes,
you struck roots there.
It's something really which happened to me in a funny sort of way. You see, twice I was taken out of India by the BBC, once by the BBC themselves. They said, you've done 4 years, that's enough. Then they posted me back, then came the emergency. So after that, I began to think that, well, you know, there must be some reason that this is really where I'm destined to be. Of course, I was enormously happy here. I had lots of friends like you and other people. I felt very much at home and settled here.
I mean, you also built the tradition of the BBC offices and bureaus all over the region being open houses for journalists.
Well, we did try to do that. I mean, you know, in a funny way, I wonder whether some of this was a reaction to my childhood, because as a child in India, you see, I was a very, very English child, and I was kept entirely
because so many of us,
separated.
even if we went to Kabul, the first place we went to was the BBC office, as if it was our office. In Islamabad, in Lahore, you went to file stories there, you went looking for sandwiches there.
Well, I think there are lots of other BBC people who contributed to that.
But the tradition did get built.
Yes, it did. And certainly I was very, very keen that we should have as open office as possible.
You were nearly banned in Pakistan as well.
Oh yes, I had a lot of troubles in Pakistan. General Zia was always very hostile towards me. Once during the anti-Bhutto riots, Bhutto made a whole speech against the BBC and me, and he ended it up saying, but we are a generous nation, so we will not throw him out. Now the irony of it all is that since I left the BBC and stayed on in India, I have never once been able to get a visa to go to Pakistan.
Is that so? And
Yeah.
have you ever asked them
Oh,
why?
absolutely. I've
What did
asked
they
why
say?
and nobody gives a reason, you know.
Mark, go back to reporting years. Tell us some of the most dangerous moments and some of the funny ones.
Well, one of the most dangerous moments, funny enough, was at Ayodhya, actually, when the mosque was coming down.
And they were looking for one Mark Tully.
They were looking for how they found me, and they surrounded me, and a huge argument started as to whether they should kill me, literally, beat me up and kill me, or whether, and some people were arguing in favour of that.
This was the mob.
Yeah. And others were saying, nay, mashur admi hai, it'll be very dangerous for us if we do this. In the end, a compromise was reached, and I was shoved into a room, put under arrest, basically, in a temple and locked in there.
The Voice of America guy was thrashed quite badly.
He was, yes.
He was.
But the interesting thing again is, you see, that I was with some Indian journalists, and when I was arrested, I could hear these Indian journalists talking outside and saying, you must let this guy go. And they said, it's nothing to do with you, we have nothing against you, you go on and do your work. And these people said, no, we're not going to go away until he's been released. So eventually they got arrested as well.
There's honor among thieves.
Absolutely. yes.
And some funny ones.
Yes.
And some funny ones.
Well, of course, there was there've been quite a few funny ones, but I suppose one of the funniest ones was I can't use the exact language, but I was asked to make a film about Morarji Desai, and you know, I was very Morarji, and I had a big admiration for him.
But I knew never invited you for a drink.
No, but I knew that he drank his urine, you see.
Yes.
So the spokesman for the External Affairs Ministry said to me, I am not going to allow you to make this film because I'm not going to allow you to take the out of my Prime Minister, the word beginning with P and ending in S, you see. So somehow or other, I told Morarji this, and Morarji said, rubbish, you were going to do the interview. So we did the interview. And it was.
And he drank it?
He didn't drink it, but we discussed it absolutely openly. And very, very briefly, you know what he said to me? He said, how do I look? And I said, well, you look rather well, because you have this wonderful translucent skin, very, very clean white clothes, khadi clothes. And I sort of murmured, well, you actually look rather better than I do, you know. And he said, yes, and I'm 80-something and you're 40-something. So that was the end of the argument, wasn't it? What could be wrong with doing that?
Did you ever follow his advice after that?
No, I didn't. No. Perhaps I should. Now I'm 70. Perhaps I should do. You know?
You could do with being 40 again.
Yes, certainly. Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, my favorite tele story is from the coup in Maldives in '85.
Yes.
In I think September or October of '85, or maybe Diwali Eve of '85. And there was a whole bunch of foreign journalists also had come in, and that little island Malay was crawling with Indian paratroopers and journalists. And all that Indian paratroopers wanted to see was Mark Tully.
And I wasn't there.
And somebody started a story, I think it was Derek Brown or somebody, of going up to these Jawans and saying, I am Mark Tully. And soon enough, all of them were saying, I am Mark Tully, and they were being plied with lots of spiritual help that evening. Do you regret the fact, and how do you explain it, that no BBC correspondent, chief of bureau since then has become that kind of household name? Is it because they are not Mark Tully, or is it because India has changed?
No, it's not because they're not Mark Tully. It's for two reasons, really. Two reasons. One is, of course, they don't stay as long as I was allowed to stay. Another is, of course, that there's been this tremendous expansion in television and in print. And you know, if I could just get one word in, I find it absolutely incredible that with all this expansion in television, all this expansion in print, poor old radio, which is the medium I love best, is still held in chains by the government, and I don't understand
because of this idiotic policy of not allowing news on FM.
I know, and I don't understand it. I mean, it's lunacy.
You can have it on TV, but you can't have it on radio.
Absolutely. You know, it's lunacy to me. You know,
it's good for us. It's our good fortune, Mark, that you've stayed around. Your new book is wonderful, as your other ones have been, and we all know this is not at all the full stop for you. There'll be many commas and hyphens, and the journey will go on.
I don't know. I mean,
unendingly.
Well, I don't know about that, Shekhar. But there are, everyone has to stop at some time, don't they? You know.
Mark, wonderful chatting with you.
Lovely.
Even if it's not an evening in Amritsar or Kabul or one of the war zones, and we are not indulging in our own kind of spirituality. From days when we were both young.
But still, it's like the old days. Thank you so much, Shekhar.